a thing? Not
paternal. Yeah, I think so.
Anyway, how are you correcting your
lovingly
your friends?
correcting?
Lovingly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important to first, like before you start correcting people, is to understand what makes that person suffer, right? Because if you're going to correct them in a way that is not sensitive to how they suffer, man, I think you're gonna probably cause them more grief than help, right? And that was something I think Father Francesco Morone, legend,
proper legend,
right?
Yeah,
man, what a priest,
what a man,
what a man, right?
What a man, what a priest.
He was the one I think I first heard that statement from, like, find out what makes the other suffer, and I think he was speaking about it more in the context of like a friendship. a relationship, like a dating relationship. But I think this is valid to all of your relationships, friendships, even your relationships with your parents and your siblings. Figure out what makes a person suffer, how they suffer, and work around that, or even in your correction, like try to offer up words of advice that will reduce
and sometimes
that, right?
like it's tricky when like new friendships are being formed,
right?
Because like you don't really know really how that person suffers. You don't really know like how that person struggles. Like I think new friendships can be very exciting, but it can also be very tricky because there's still a lot of uncharted territory. And really time and quality are very important. I think if you lack either, I think obviously quality is probably better, but I think having time throughout the friendship is also very important. I think we've experienced that with one another. And and so like knowing, I think that's such great wisdom, knowing how someone suffers, or like how someone takes not so much criticism, but like in a way loving correction. It's kind of like knowing someone's like love language or their apology language.
And there actually is a test for that, right?
There's an apology language test that you can take where it shows like how someone likes to be apologized to, and how you like to apologize,
right.
because we don't receive it and give it the same way.
It's
just like love.
What we were talking about in the first half there, about how someone receives, or how I received Andre's
love.
Regardless of your intention, right?
That
person receives it a different way, right? And we should be in tuned to how they receive it. And especially with like a relationship. Like I was a friend of mine. He and his girlfriend were having some situations, some issues, right? He was talking to me about it, and I was just like, dude, like, how does she show love? How do you show love? How do you receive love? How does she receive love? He had no idea, and I was like, oh, well, man, do this test. And then also with apologies, like, how do you receive an apology, and how does she receive an apology? Because regardless of how we give, it's the other does not always receive in that way, right?
Exactly.
And in a way, it's like a lack of insensitivity of like, well, like I have the best intentions, so like shouldn't that be enough? If you have to say should be enough, it's like, not enough.
It's not enough.
You know.
So I was given. I remember Lisa and I were fighting a lot, right? And I remember I talked to it with Alex Nidra, our boy from Exodus, my guy.
Legend,
my guy.
Another legend.
Alex
is man, all time.
So he asked me, he's like, how do you usually, like correct or, bring something up? And I'll be like, well, Lisa, this is what you did wrong. And he laughed at me,
classic,
right? Like,
classic Andre,
and he was just shaking his head, like, "Yo, bro." Like,
but that's how intentional he is, though. Like he doesn't
matter.
No, he doesn't waste words. He doesn't waste time. Straight to the point.
Very efficient. I guess if he was a basketball player, high efficiency.
This is what he said. This is what you should. So this is the wisdom he gave me, and this is how. So if Lisa did something wrong, right? This is what I'd usually say. I'll be like, "Hey, Lisa, when you did X, Y, or Z, this is how it made me feel. what was going through your mind when this happened? And you know what? This has been an absolute game changer, man. It's my cheat code, right?
Yeah, I believe it.
And because the old way was like me saying like, you did this to hurt me.
Yeah.
Right? But this way, it's like me giving her the benefit of the doubt, which it sets everyone at ease. It's like it's like me saying to you, Ken, like, you know what? I know you love me. This is how it made me feel. You know, how were you? You know, like, what was going through your mind then? And you'll be like, yo, this is what was happening. I'll be like, oh, okay, right. And I'm not condemning you. Yeah. I'm not blaming you. I'm like, hey, let's just dialogue this, right? And praise be to God. You can use that with your sisterhood, your brotherhood, in relationships, marriage, vice versa, anywhere.
Anything.
And I gotta use it more. Like I forget to use it sometimes.
And you do it like in person.
What do you? You know me, bro. You know me. Don't even look at me right now. You know me in person. There is no question. Yeah. You don't do this in text.
Yeah. Some people don't want to have tough conversations. You know, I think it just has to do with intentionality, right? And honestly, no, and it has the because sometimes there just aren't opportunities to. So sometimes just waiting and being patient about it. It has its virtues, but also there are times where it's just unavoidable. So remember, I think throughout our exodus, there are various ways that us as individuals in our team have been challenged, but there's different circumstances that we all had to apply those virtues, right? So it's just about being docile to the Holy Spirit. But I definitely do agree, even in texts or in phone calls, to be like, well, this is how I felt, what was happening with you?
Yeah.
Not like,
yo, this is how I felt. What were you thinking?
Yeah.
Thinking! Yeah. Like the tone is just like, period. What were you thinking? Period. Not question mark.
No question marks. Oh my gosh.
Because you corrected me.
Yeah, because we
it's too tricky, man. Like over text, like if I ever get something from a boss, I usually read it in an angry tone of voice for some reason. You know what I mean? Even though he's like the greatest guy ever, like one of the best guys, like one of my top 3 guys, who I respect most in the world.
Yeah,
I just receive it angrily for some reason.
I agree. It's just like, how are you?
Yeah. You know what? No. In terms of
what do you mean? How am I? I'm good. No, I'm not good. I don't think I'm good anymore.
No, not for me. I actually, I know the wisdom in meeting up with someone and speaking face to face, right? Yeah. I find myself, I'm a little more polished off in text. Not that I'm going to carry out conversations, but I notice especially with my reflections, I think I'm a little more articulate when I can write it out.
That's good.
But yeah, no, I do want to say there are times, right? AJ, we were just saying there are times where you can't meet up, right? Or you can't hop on the phone, right? But in those times, you do need to be articulate with your words, and also make sure you put in some tone into that text, right? Because I think writing can have tone, right? Novels can carry tone.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I'm thinking? Right?
I'm just very bad at it.
I actually I would not even use text. It's not even a part of my repertoire. Yeah. And I would actually I would use that that WhatsApp feature where you can leave a voice message for somebody.
Voice notes are actually
there have been times I've sent messages maybe to my sister or something, but and then I play it back quickly and I'm like, yo, that tone does not sound like loving or not. Yeah, delete, and just do it over, right? Because I was asking a simple question, but. Maybe so because I feel especially if you're apologizing, you can't meet them in person. I say the voice message, at least they can hear the sincerity. He's not just saying words.
Yeah. And also just and if you even if you do it in person, your body language,
oh god,
and eye contact is so important. Like the whole thing you were saying, oh yeah, what are you called? That was not your body language.
Yeah.
So
body language is 70% of what you are saying.
Yeah.
Not what's coming out of your mouth. People read. And you know what? It's interesting, actually. Women are a lot better than that at men at reading body language.
Tell me about this.
Reading body language?
Reading body language. Okay.
Guys aren't as with communication. Guys don't take. I find
right.
Let me put it this way, right? I remember once being out with a friend and I saw that this girl really liked my buddy, right? right?
Yeah.
And then we go home at the end of the night. We're like walking back home, and I'm like, yo, Adam, bro, like, were you interested in her or whatever? Like, you know, and he's like, yeah, man, she was cool. She was beautiful, but I don't think she was interested in me. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about, man? She literally, like, her body language, the tone of her voice, like, everything. She was into you. She was digging you, man. Like, what are you talking about? And he's like,
Andre, we're going to have to talk after this.
It's probably because he was on his phone.
Yo, man. I'm good at that. I read body language, like, very well. Like, I know, like if you show me two people, I'll be like, yeah.
I think our next podcast is going to be body language, eh?
Because Andre, with you, you don't waste time. Like, you don't get distracted. When you hone in on something, you hone in. You're like a lion when he has found his target. It's just like slowly observing, like, what's the best way? Is this right? Is this necessary? Okay, it needs to be done. Time to eat it. Yeah. Because with Andre, he doesn't get distracted easily. Yeah. Like, we know this because I know it so often because I hang out with him regularly that if he's having a conversation with him and I need to get something off of him, I'm like waiting for like 10 minutes. Or if I really need it bad, I have to be like nudge. I have to like punch him and be like, hey, yo, we have to go. Or like, yo, can I get the car keys or something? Like he's just gone.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to establish that too. And it's something that I guess we sharpen one another in. And like, even in fraternal correction, it's like the intentionality in that of like, you know, hey, like, and I think like I have a hard time receiving fraternal correction from like people that are still getting to know me because like I feel like I haven't let them into my inner circle of like I haven't trusted you enough for me to feel like your correction is valid. So
like when someone does that, how do you like respond? Do you like, what are the thoughts? What are the feelings?
You don't know me.
Yeah, because like,
you don't know who I am.
I don't know if you really love me. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, are you just doing this just because? Yeah. But like, so like, for example, when me and Andre got into that argument, I was like, yo, like Andre doesn't normally do this, and I know he loves me. So I actually did not take any offense.
Right on.
Like he was saying, like, you know, like sometimes he felt like there's some ways that he could have handled it better, but I was like, yo, like the way
definitely,
like obviously I honor you for that, but like I think I didn't receive it poorly, because even though you did those things and sure you could have done better and you can do better, I didn't take it to heart because of how much I know you love me. So I trusted that your correction was rightly placed and that there was ways that I can improve and you're helping me improve. And I honored him and I thanked him, like, thank you for that. But when someone's still getting to know me and they're like journeying from like the outer circle to the inner circle of the chambers of my heart, I'm like, not a lot of people have access to that. Yeah. Like, not a lot of people are there for me to not like receive any hurt from your correction. So like Andre, my sister, my spiritual director, and I actually realized that I don't really get corrected by women too often. I only get really corrected by, or I allow myself to get corrected by brothers. So maybe I can work on that.
Yeah.
Yo, I find like with the that's why the friendship is so important, that sisterhood, that brotherhood, because you build up equity with that person. So
what's equity? I'm
you know, like
money?
You build, like, you know,
investment?
Credibility?
Yeah, credibility.
Credibility.
That's what equity is.
You know, like sorry. You build up equity like with them. And that, so like when they say something now, that you can take it for face value, that even if they do come across a little rough with it, which everyone needs to work on, including myself, but you know that, oh, wait a minute, this person, they truly care about me, man. Like, this is my homie. This is somebody that like loves me and is my virtuous friend. You know what? Like, I don't like the tone that they used or whatnot, but like, let me tear that away and let's see what's left. And I think having that openness to correction is what will actually make us like saints. like being that receptivity. Receptivity.
We're not English majors.
We're not
here,
wordsmiths right here.
Yeah.
I use sometimes big words that aren't even mean the right thing.
But yeah, no, man. Like when we have that openness, like because you know what, God the Father